Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
What's going on, guys? It's your host, Peter Blake of the Sports Web from my Peter's Perspective, live here on Amped Up Sports. And it's the start of the NFL football season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they open up versus the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. I'll give you my prediction and lots of questions with this Bucs team concerning the offensive line with the loss of Ali Marpet and, of course, the injury to Ryan Jensen. You also take into account the loss of Rob Gronkowski with a whole new tight end room, and then Chris Godwin and his injury status. Make no mistake about it, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers still have Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. He will definitely help that offensive line out because in the past, he's been able to show that he can take an offensive line that's just average and make them good enough. That tight end room eventually will get back a Rob Gronkowski. Chris Godwin will be healthy enough to be productive. Of course, the picking up of Julio Jones will be major, and this Buccaneer defense may be the best that they've had in a long time. That's why I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go 12-5, win the NFC South, and Tom Brady, possibly his last year, right off into the sunset with a Super Bowl 57 win. It's very simple, guys. It's unfinished business. It's what Brady said when he came back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of retirement. And it is the attitude of this team. It is a direct reflection of leadership. For another edition of Peter's Perspective live here on Amped Up Sports, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Happy NFL football season, and go Bucs. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition, your Victory Monday edition of the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about.
How about them Bucks, baby?
You got to love it after that 19-3 victory over the Dallas Cowboys. So let's get to it. We're a little bit early tonight, and there's a reason for it. Three things. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have Harry the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire at 1252 Chicago Sports. And then I will be doing a tribute to my friend, Sean the Sports Don. Tell you what, let's go out to the phone calls. I don't know who this is, but welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're on the Sports Web here. I'm your host, Peter Blake. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm Dave Warner. I'm calling from St. Pete.
What's going on, Dave? What do you want to talk about tonight? Obviously, it's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I watched the game yesterday, but I seen Tom had, his moments of being sharp, and I think Chris Godwin had a good game. Evans had a good game. Of course, Julio Jones had that hell of a catch that was freaking off the chain, man. They had some good catches. I mean, he didn't have no 300 or 400 yard game, but I think Tom Brady still did good. He still looked sharp. I think the defense looked really good. I was really surprised.
Defense looked great. That was the most
Yeah.
impressive thing, holding the Cowboys to 3 points, but in the manner they did it, they got after Dak Prescott. They had 4 sacks in this game on top of it. They only held him to 141 yards, and I get a lot of people say, well, you got CD Lamb and you got Dalton Schultz and nothing else. That's not the Bucs' fault. The Bucs did their job. Now, was it a perfect game? Not by any means. At the end of the day, they have lots of things to clean up, especially in the red zone. But overall, a tough game on the road, a team that gave them lots of problems last year to come out with the win in week 1. That's huge.
Yeah, definitely. I think last year we had, like you said, we had a really tough problem with them because if we didn't have that ball last, we might have lost that game.
Yeah.
And this game, we pretty much dominated the whole second half.
Correct.
So I mean, I actually wasn't worried that the Buccaneers in the past. Of course, we always had to worry if they're going to lose it at the last minute.
Sure.
This time we didn't have to worry about that, which is good.
Sure, absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. So how long you been a Buccaneer fan for?
Oh man, since I moved here to Florida since '81.
Okay.
I met you at Ducky's when you used to go out to Ducky's.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. I think Ed's friend, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe not for long. I mean, he just
we don't have to get we don't have to get personal with it. It's all good. I mean, I met you out there, so tell me something. Give me a win prediction here on this team this year. What do you expect them to do, and what's your expectations? Do you agree with my perspective? Super Bowl?
I think we could definitely hit the Super Bowl. I mean, I think we could definitely win 13 out of the 16 or what is it, 17 games now.
13-4. Yeah. Okay.
I think we could definitely get 13-4. I mean, if they play like they did against the Cowboys, I mean, the Cowboys ain't no slouch, of course. So
right.
I think we have a good chance. It's not like we were playing not we were playing the Falcons with no quarterback.
Right. Exactly. And that's who you're going to play this week. The Saints, who just beat the Falcons in a comeback. We're about to get Harry the Greek on. Anything else, my friend?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind talking to Harry, man. Harry's a good guy.
All right, I tell you what, let's go ahead and have Harry on here. Let's go ahead and go out to his walk-up music, if this will allow me. Here we go. All right, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports, who did quite well yesterday, as I'll fire the cannons, and it won't fire the cannons for me for some reason. So I don't know. I'll give him the Ric Flair. There you go, right there. Good stuff. Harry the Greek, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. And like you talked about, Houston and Indianapolis, I mean, go ahead, pat yourself on the back, because I'm going to give you credit. You were definitely right on the money yesterday, and you got a fan here. And Dave, before we get out to it, let's talk to Dave here. You got a question for Harry the Greek?
Yeah.
Hi, Dave.
First of all, I know you work at a car place, but I might bring my car to have you check it out. I just got a nice little Dodge Challenger with a Hemi in there, but I just want you to check it out, make sure there's nothing wrong with it. But that's besides the point. I want to talk about the Buccaneers. I mean, they had a great game. I think if they play, I was telling Peter, if they play like they did against the Cowboys, like I said, the Cowboys ain't no slouch. It's not like we played a lowly team that's going to be a losing team this year. I think the Cowboys are definitely going to go to the playoffs. So we played a playoff caliber team, and we pretty much dominated the whole game. I mean, the defense definitely did. I would like to see more touchdowns, but we did still come out on top.
Right.
So.
Well, Dave, that's a very interesting perspective, because the Cowboys now, without Dak Prescott, are going to be very, very, very hard pressed to even make the playoffs. Although they do have a really good running team and they do play very, very well on defense, it's going to be very difficult to win now that Dak Prescott is gone. And he's going to be, actually, for people that don't know this, Dak Prescott is going to be out somewhere between 7 and 9 weeks, I believe. He just had surgery on his hand.
I just missed that. I mean, I seen that they had a backup in, but I thought it was because they were losing the game and they just put the backup in. What happened to him? Is like I missed that part.
I believe it has something to do with his finger. Don't quote me on it, but I did read it coming across the ticker a little while ago that he has had his hand and surgically repaired.
Did we hit him pretty good, or like Shaq Barrett hit him or something and knocked him out?
Honestly, I don't know exactly when it happened. All I know is that he's not going to be playing, and that's a significant loss for the Dallas Cowboys. And it was a great victory, but I'll tell you what, let's not look at the glass, like it's always full. Let's talk about the first half where they just couldn't seem to get the ball in the end zone.
Yeah.
And Tampa's offense looked dynamic from the 20 to the 20, and then it looked like Brady didn't even know how to throw a football from the 20 into the end zone.
Yeah,
But,
and I
but
think
then
that
again, that's a lack of practice. It takes 2 or 3 weeks to get it going in the regular
I think
season.
also it's the offensive line. One of those
Yep.
series, I thought the offensive line did a good job, but there was one series there where Parsons gets after it. You have Josh Wells, and of course Donovan Smith gets schooled. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You have to score more points in the red zone. And at the end of the day, it's also coming down to play calling, and it may be, a little bit of rust. But with all that being said, that team still offensively last night, besides scoring touchdowns, was pretty dominant, and defensively, as you called, Hakeem Hicks made a major impact. Dave, thanks a lot for the call. Definitely use
Dave,
that
take care. Thanks for calling.
on calling. All right, my friend. All right, let me go with the Ric Flair right there. Good stuff. New caller right there. Welcome, Harry. And you had quite a good day yesterday. Welcome to
Yeah,
the Evolution.
yeah, we did. We had a really, really good day. I'll tell you what, we had two, not one, two of
Mhm.
the longest shots of the week win the game outright. That's why you tune into the over under, ladies and gentlemen. That Pittsburgh line, trust me, 7-point underdogs on the road that win the ball game, they don't come around every single day. It's a rarity, but I'll tell you what, I
Yeah.
was pretty confident with that one. Also, how about that? I said he turned the ball over 2 times. I was wrong. I'm really sorry. He chucked it 4 times.
4 times, Joe Burrow, and that was the big time question yesterday, and, it looked certainly like he was rusty, of course, getting his appendix out, not playing a preseason game. I get it, preseason's not important, but when you're missing training camp, also not only preseason games, it may come back to haunt you, and at the end of the day, defensive coordinators, they know your tendencies, they know what you're going to do, so maybe some of the stuff you got away with last year, you're able to do it this year, not so much. I don't necessarily think it's all his fault. I also think the offensive line, which was disappointing because they spent so much money to replace those guys, getting an Alex Kappa, getting a Lael Collins from the Dallas Cowboys, and they still gave up, 7 or 8 sacks in that game. Of course, TJ Watt wrecking havoc and then getting hurt. But I think that was probably the most disappointing aspect of it. All that money that you paid for the Cincinnati Bengals and that offensive line, and they still did what they did last year.
Yeah, listen, man, it's a shame when it happened because TJ Watt's one of the best defensive players in the entire National Football League. And the poor guy just can't stay healthy. And
Mm,
unfortunately for the Pittsburgh fans, it looks like it's a torn pectoral muscle. They're going to go in for a second opinion. I don't care if you get 5 opinions. The guy can't move, he can't play. He's hurt. But you
yeah.
know what? Getting back to Tampa Bay, I want to talk about something, especially for the Buccaneers.
Sure.
It was refreshing to see a balanced offense, Peter. 27 pass attempts. You and
Yep.
I were talking about it. I says they're going to pass the ball about 20 to 25 times. I was wrong again by 2. He passed 27 times. But you know what was more impressive? Over 30 rushing attempts. And Peter Blake, you were right. Leonard Fournette went off yesterday, a buck 27 in yardage. Julio Jones on a couple of jet sweeps, 2 runs for 17 yards. Forget the fact that he caught the ball for 60 or 70 yards. He had like 100 yards combined total offense. Rashard White, the rookie, 6 rushes, 14 yards. Jalen Darden on another sweep, 1 rush. Tom Brady, he tried to rush it a couple of times. He actually got a yard or even maybe lost a yard. But man, I'm telling you, man, 21, 23, 29, 30, 32, 33 rushes compared to 27 passes. I'll tell
Yeah.
you what, you're going to see a lot of that until they can figure out this offensive line. Because if this was last year's offense
Mm,
with this line,
mm.
we might be talking about Tom Brady missing an extended amount of time like Dak Prescott.
Well, he even talked about it today, according to his Let's Go podcast. He was sore. He's feeling very sore right now. He took some hits, so you definitely don't want that. At the end of the day, the onus is on keeping him upright. And if you don't do that, and it was a scary situation with Parsons making that spin move, and then I don't know what kind of blocking technique Josh Wells was trying to perform at that point, but nearly getting Tom Brady killed. I thought the offensive line didn't do that bad of a job. I get it, that series, but I still felt like they gave him a lot of time, even with
If
saying Ali Marpet and Ryan Jensen were not in there.
Great
You still
point.
right. I mean, and
Great
then you open
point.
up the lines. You open up the lines for Leonard Fournette and for Rashard White to go over 100 yards. So I don't necessarily think they were that bad. Do they need to improve a little bit? Absolutely. I think everybody on this team would say that would look themselves in the mirror. Even Tom Brady last night, not necessarily as accurate as he should be, high on some of his passes, should be a little bit
He
better.
had
But
to be, Peter, because he had
right,
that push coming right up the middle. It was
right.
horrible to watch it happen. I'm telling you right now, if this was last year, this would be a different story. I'm
Mm.
not kidding you because Bruce Arians is a stubborn goat as he is. He wants to just chuck that ball downfield 40 times a game. And it just needs to. I'm really glad that they're going to run the ball. I really like the style of offense. You want to play defense, you want to play offense. Levante David, I can't say enough for him. Couple of sacks in that game. Even Vita Vey got involved up the middle. I mean, it was just so refreshing to see. And I'll tell you what, that suspect secondary that everybody's talking about with that pass rush, it's going to be a long day for a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of wide receivers that play this Buccaneer team.
I'll go back to Brady here. Red zone since 2020, 59 touchdowns,
Zero
zero
interception.
interceptions. That's unbelievable.
Yes! Yes!
Hey,
And
what's more impressive, do you think?
what's
That
up?
59-0 in the red zone or a
Mm-hmm.
guy that's been in the National Football League for 6 years as a
Mm-hmm.
starting quarterback for 5 and has never thrown a pick six?
I think it's still
I
Brady.
think I
Uh,
think they're both. I think they're
right,
both phenomenal statistics.
right.
But I got to give this one the edge to um Money Mitch, and I'm going to tell you why.
Because it's so difficult, even as a rookie quarterback, you know that
No,
eventually
wait a
somebody's
minute.
going to get one.
He had to play under that ass in Chicago, okay, for 4 of those years. Are you crazy? And
Right.
then behind that offensive line and the lack of wide receivers, that guy should be in the Hall of Fame just for that statistic, having to play behind that line and that offensive system, never to throw a pick six. I just can't believe it. And I was just trying to be a smartass when I said that. Which one
Oh,
is
no.
really more impressive? But if you really weigh them out, of course
Right.
people are going to say the 59 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Well, I
But
mean, that's the
just
thing.
think about playing 5 years, okay?
Right.
5 years
5 years.
and never throw one.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's go out to the text line here. He won't be here for a full season. He will leave due to family issues. That's what you said. And this is what you get for that.
Shitter!
How's the sound effects on that? You like that? Go Bears. All right, I'll give you that. Hey,
How about
guys,
them Bears?
Christopher Cole. Sound effects fixed for the meeting. Hopefully they are, as I was ready to go crazy today in the Zoom meeting. Harry, what do you think of the Bears win? Let's talk about that because we both watched that game. I was really impressed, although the Bears offense didn't necessarily have the best start. I felt like they made it easier for Justin Fields, and he really made some great throws yesterday and showed you why a lot of Bears fans out there are excited about him being the potential franchise quarterback of this franchise going forward.
Great question. Let me go ahead and address this first. Let's talk about the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
How would you like to have a backup in Jimmy Garoppolo having to watch that display of a shit show that you had to watch yesterday coming out of a quarterback? But then again, it's not fair, man. They had like a foot of rain sitting on that field. Both defenses played extremely hard. In the first half, I think the 49ers completely dominated Chicago, but Chicago was only losing 7-0 because their defense was playing. The first 3 quarters, Chicago's average field position started on their own 14-yard line.
Yeah.
San Francisco started on their own 45, so I have to give the edge to the Bears defense. And you're right, he did make some really, really good throws yesterday, but they're very ill-advised throws. You keep throwing across your body or across field, and they'll be going pick six every single time. Just ask Patrick Mahomes about it. He's doing it for a living out there. I'll tell you a little bit more how I feel about that Bears win when they play Green Bay this week. If they can play competitive football, and I'm not asking them for a win, that would just be icing on the cake.
Sure.
But if they can play competitive football, then I'm going to make a determination. But from what I'm seeing, they still stink.
All right. I tell you right now, I was impressed, though. I was impressed by that defense yesterday, even with the loss of Khalil Mack, who, by the way, went off for the Chargers, 3 sacks, but still Robert Quinn, impressive. They got enough pass rush there, Roquan Smith, and that secondary looked like they were improved. Tell you what, let's
The
keep
defense played really well,
right.
and their draft picks are just playing out their ear holes. That
Correct. Mm,
Jaquan Brister, oh my God, that kid's the real deal. And then the rookie 5th round draft pick on the defensive line, couple of sacks or a sack and a half, whatever the case was, a couple of tackles for a loss. He
sure.
looked really well as well. But defensively, like good, they look good. Offensively, I was happy because they just committed to running the football to set up the pass. And, poor David Montgomery couldn't get from here to my front door on 20 attempts, but it didn't
Mm,
make a difference because
right.
eventually it softened them up to go ahead and let them get the deep pass. I shouldn't say they stink, but they're just going to be competitive. Just wait till next year with $100 million cap space.
Well, and I tell you right now, I didn't think much of them. I didn't think they had a chance versus the 49ers. We'll see what.
I did like that under though.
Yes, you did like that. Absolutely. All right. I tell you what, let's go out to the texters here. Roger says, Harry, what do you think of the Bears win? He told you, Ben Cornett, congrats to the Bears yesterday on
Thank
that
you,
win.
Ben.
Harry Berg, I think there is a song. Maybe I don't have it. I don't think I have it here. That's all right. Harry, how do the Sox let TLR anywhere near the dugout? Doesn't Cairo give them the best chance to win? Who's TLR? Go ahead and explain.
TLR is Tony La Russa, and
Oh,
you know,
okay.
for those of you that don't know that TLR right now just had surgery where they put a pacemaker in his heart. Apparently, he's having some medical issues, and that's what's keeping him away. Look, for what it's worth, Tony La Russa is still, I'm sorry, was one of the best managers ever to coach this game. I understand exactly what you're talking about, but honestly, whether it's Tony La Russa or Cairo Santos, I think I think they're going to play a little bit better for Cairo because he's demanding a little bit more. Um, this is another team that's not playing anywhere near their capabilities. They're a couple of games out of first place. They still have a lot of games within their division, and the division's within their reach. But in all reality, are they really going to beat Houston? Are they going to get by even the slumping Yankees or the Tampa Bay Rays when they come up?
Mm,
I say no. I don't like what I'm seeing. You got a couple of really good pitchers. Their bullpen has been decimated, but they're playing a little bit better now. There's a lot of players on this team that just are not playing the way they should. But that's just my opinion. I'm going to take it back. I think with Cairo Santos, Jesus, my brain. I'm thinking about the kicker from Chicago who missed 2 extra points, which I wanted to talk about.
yeah,
But
exactly.
Miguel Cairo, I think Cairo gives them a better chance to win right now. Yes, good question, Pig Dog.
Oh, that sounds like a former Ray there. Former Ray, former Yankee, I believe. He played in the league. So good stuff there. Pig Dog has always been Cornette says George Kittle was out yesterday, which kind of hurt the Niners offense. When
Did
does
it?
that not hurt?
No, really? Did it? They didn't want him to play because of that field. What are you kidding me?
Well, the
They wouldn't
field
have
was
let.
terrible. The field conditions were terrible, and I think that definitely favored the Bears. And we talked about that.
Why? But no, hold on. Why did it favor the Bears? They're both playing on that crap field.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
because
the
because
49ers invented the zone blocking scheme, which was
right,
perfect. And
right,
eventually, even when Tampa Bay Ray was over here watching the game with you and I, we were commenting on how San Francisco's not showing anything because they're running a lot of east misdirection, this, that, the whole 9 yards. And Chicago just kept trying to run it up the gut. I mean, you want to talk about boring. Just watch what the Bears offense looked like yesterday in the first 3 quarters. I mean, let me tell you something. It was like going to a high school football game going, is he ever going to pass the football? I
right.
had no problem with it. I mean, the 49ers were, I don't think it would have made a difference. They couldn't find a receiver if the barn door was sitting 5 feet in front of them. It was pretty bad.
It was definitely pretty bad. We got open phone lines. If you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chicago Bears, or any of your favorite NFL teams, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Live on I Love St. Pete, the hub, and Amped Up Sports. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. What else do you take from that Bucks game? Because the story was today, according to Todd Bowles, I don't think Godwin is hurt as serious as we thought it was. It all depends on how his treatment goes and how he heals. Hopefully, we'll have him back sooner than later. And then, of course, Donovan Smith also pretty sore, so we'll monitor that situation. But how do you feel about the Bucks playing Godwin? He looked healthy. First catch versus against the Cowboys from Brady, 24, 25 yards. Looked healthy the whole night, and then he hurt his hamstring. He's had a history of hamstring injuries.
I
So
told you yesterday that's what he hurt.
yep,
Everybody's like, "Oh no, it's his knee." No, when you're trying to run and bend over to pick something up and you stretch yourself, it's a hammy. He's had a hamstring problem from before. First off, Godwin had no business being on the field yesterday. None. He's coming off an ACL. I don't care if everybody deemed him to be healthy. You just invested a boatload of money in this receiver,
yeah.
and you got a long season ahead of you. Now you're going to be sore, especially with a hamstring. And if it's the same leg that he tore his ACL,
Mm,
trust me, he's not going to be the same for a few weeks. They need to sit him for a little while. Look, man, it's not the end of the world. They got Julio Jones. Julio Jones looked like a stud yesterday. And Mike Evans, hey man, he gets dinged up on every single play. Don't worry, Tampa fans. He'll play next week. You could put him in a cast with both of his hands, and he's still going to catch 10 balls. That's just
Well, I
Mike
mean, he
Evans.
catches the ball with the one arm. I mean, the
Yep.
amazing touchdown catch there, and nobody talks about him. He just continues to just get it done with 1,000-yard receiving seasons. What is he? 8 consecutive, on his way to 9 if he continues to play this way and stays healthy. Knock on wood. But of course, you worry about him. You worry about Julio Jones, and that's the exact reason why they went after Julio Jones and a Russell Gage, and they have that depth. And most likely, I don't think Godwin's going to play versus the Saints. Of course, he's killed the
No.
Saints in the past. You would like to have him, but like you said, you do have Julio Jones. You do have Russell Gage. Scotty Miller was inactive yesterday, possibly Kyle Rudolph. So maybe you run those guys out there, but plenty of depth. And the reason why is because of the situation that happened last year when you lost Godwin and you lost Antonio Brown. You basically were depending on backups. At this point, you're still depending on backups, but those backups with names like Julio Jones and Russell Gage are pretty good.
You know what? Which is a really great point. This week they were going to try to feature a little bit of, Mike Evans, and
Mhm.
Chris Godwin ended up getting a couple of catches. I don't think they were really going to anticipate trying to get him too involved in this game. They were just trying to get his feet wet a little bit. But I'll tell you what, Julio Jones is just impressing the hell out of me. He looked better in this one game than he did an entire season. Actually,
Sure.
literally the last 2 seasons.
Right.
Uh, Now next week, it could be Russell Gage's turn. Okay, or it could be Scooter's turn with Scotty Miller when he comes to play. Who knows,
Sure.
with this type of offense. But I can tell you this much: it's not the same offense that you're used to seeing from last year. You're going to see a lot more runs and a lot more play action because this offensive line, it's going to take not a week or two. It's going to take quite a few weeks for it to gel together because they are banged up. And I'm going to say it again. It's an unpopular opinion. It is harder to pass protect than it is to run block. And Tampa is going to become very efficient at run blocking. You have Tom Brady under the helm. That
Sure.
play action is going to come out really well, and they are going to catch a lot of balls out of the backfield.
Well, and again, it's all about also protecting Brady, and you take the pressure off of him if you are a balanced offense. And we talked about this over and over again. I love Leonard Fournette last night, the way he ran, but I
Yes,
love
you
the
did.
block on Parsons. I keep on watching it. That is how you basically make somebody go down and go down hard and not get
Eh,
after your quarterback when you chip them. There's no way.
that wasn't a chip, Peter. He was engaged in a block. You know what? To me, I when I seen it, I was like, "Ouch!" And then I'm looking for the tissue paper to come out. Look, man, you cannot lead into the head from your shoulder pad. You just can't. And when he's engaged, but it still was a great block. I mean,
It
Micah
was a
Parson got his
great
bell
block.
rung. Did
Yes,
anybody get a chance to see what's the defensive end for the Buffalo Bills that came from Denver and
Von
was
Miller.
it Von
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 Miller.
Miller went crazy.
Yes.
Anybody see his tweet?
What did he say?
Oh, bro, you got to look up his tweet.
I gotta look it up.
You've
Okay.
got to look up his tweet. It was
All right.
unbelievable. You want to talk about someone that's talking about being possessed, and you want to talk about someone that went crazy. He's like, when is it going to be enough? You're going to hurt one of the premier pass rushers. Well, you know what, bro? You're playing football. This isn't two people running around in a skirt. Okay, we're not playing flag football. This is tackle football.
Yes.
Do I think it was kind of egregious? Yeah. Could
No,
there could a flag have been thrown because he was already engaged in a block? Yes. Yeah. Could you
I
say it
think
was
there-
targeting to the head, a defensive player?
yeah,
Yeah. But
no,
it was still a perfect hit. I
no.
haven't seen a hit like that in years.
I thought the hit was legal. I thought it was a great block. I thought it showed the reason why you kept Fournette in the first place.
Kind of hit him toward the side, Peter.
He
He was
did.
engaged. He was engaged, and he launched into him.
He went. It's a clean block. You're gonna try
Look
to,
at the play again. His feet came off the ground. It's called launching. You can't do it in hockey. You can't do it in football.
as long as you go not helmet to helmet, but you go shoulder pad to shoulder pad. I think it was pretty legal. But at the end of the day, what did it free up? That 48-yard pass to Julio Jones, and you talked about it. You look at that catch. That's a pretty amazing catch. That's the reason why you go
Unreal.
out and get a Julio Jones, right?
Julio Jones still has plenty in the tank, God. You know what the difference between Julio Jones and Antonio Brown's is? You really want to know?
What's
This.
up? Mm-hmm.
This. First off, the thing between his nose and his chin, and
Uh-huh.
everything between his two ears, Julio Jones has it all. He does a little less of this and a lot more of this.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Good point there, Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. We'll get more thoughts on week one. Open phone line 727 255 0391. It's 727 255 0391. So we went out to Ben Cornett. Roger Shue says FGB. Don't know what that means. Jeremiah
Means
says,
F Green Bay.
oh, okay. Well, that's the next matchup. I guess we should get into that. How shocked were you that Aaron Rodgers struggled? Because I really wasn't shocked, and to tell you the truth, I kind of liked it. I did.
Great point. You remember on the over/under yesterday on 1252
Mm-hmm.
Sports when we were together with Raynette and you? I like to
Yep.
say Raynette.
Ray Nets.
I told everybody to stay away from the game. I mean, Minnesota was favorite, then Green Bay was favorite, then Minnesota was favorite, then Green Bay was favorite. And the guy said, who left a comment, I forgot who it was, Lord, and he said, Minnesota wins by 4. I said, they could win by 14. It wouldn't
Right.
surprise me, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Green Bay do it. Look, in the words of Aaron Rodgers,
Relax.
RELAX.
Consequently,
Relax.
that's how he sounded in the offseason after he drank whatever he drank from his
You know,
girlfriend.
you're a role model. But
I'm going to tell you right now, there is going to be some
if
drop off.
if Chicago beats them this week, I am posting it all over social media. Everything off of Green Bay Packers social media is up there, and it's going to say big red letters, relax.
Okay.
Relax.
I still think that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a drop off. And anytime you miss your number one wide receiver in Devontae Adams, who had a good day yesterday versus the Raiders, we can get into that in a moment. But I still think, rookie wide receivers not working with them the whole season. He's already turning on them. Last week, the one guy dropped the pass there. It seemed like it deflated the whole offensive game plan for him. They did absolutely nothing the whole game. Minnesota, to me, is the team to beat in that division at this point. What do you say?
Could be Chicago. I mean,
Right.
did anybody count out Detroit?
Right.
They were down by 4 touchdowns going into the fourth quarter, something ridiculous. And the next thing I look up, I'm like, what? What do you mean this is a 3-point game?
Right.
Oh, by the way, another game I told everybody, stay away from that game. Trap game. But if you have to bet a trap game, you had to bet Philadelphia. By the way, which was one of my losses. I mean, Detroit
Really?
hasn't done nothing. Philadelphia. I says if you have to bet it, bet the trap game. Bet the trap game. Bet Philadelphia. Going against my own thing. And the reason why I said to bet that game, Peter, if you recall, the Detroit Lions haven't done anything in a decade. How can you bet anything?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the University of Georgia, I quoted myself saying, would have beat Detroit last year, for God's sakes. But man, that offense looked pretty good. You can knock them on all you want. They just scored a shit ton of points, pardon my expression, against one of the better defenses in the National Football League, and they did it in the fourth quarter. Now, I haven't had a chance to watch the game tape, but they did. How about the other shocker, Peter? How about the Tennessee Titans getting beat? Because
by the New York Football Giants with a new coach
with a 2-point conversion. Forget that. Wait a minute. Hold on. Instead of going for the tie, Instead of going for the tie, we're going to go for a 2-point conversion to win the game. And that's exactly what they did. Are you kidding me?
Makes no sense. It makes no sense. That's why I think there's a lot of coaches out there who just are over analyzing, if you will. As my co-host would say, who we are doing a tribute tonight, and I got to tell you, this has been the last week and a half. It's been tough for me because unexpectedly, my first co-host of the Sports Web, Sean the Sports Dom, passed away very young age, and he used to say, "You're overcooking the grits." So I think yesterday Tennessee was overcooking the grits, and the Giants took advantage of it. Of course, the kicker that missed that kick looked like he never missed the grits mill. It looked a little fat there, and of course, it looked even worse when he missed it wide left there. So the Giants pick up their first win in a while. And what do you think? I mean, is it? I get it's one win, it's 1 week, but have we seen something different here with the New York Giants? Can they turn the corner? Can Saquon Barkley be what the Giants fans want him to be and that organization wants him to be, a primetime player?
Listen, I'm a big Saquon Barkley fan. I thought he was going to have a good season this year. I know our buddy Dennis Phillips is probably doing cartwheels, but in
Yes.
reality, uh, they're going to be no different than the Bears this year, in my own opinion. I mean, I hope they prove me wrong. There's always a team or two that were bottom dwellers last year that all of a sudden they become the surprise team in the NFC. Look
Mm,
what Cincinnati did last year.
yep.
Mm.
Yep.
Do I think that's going to happen with them? No,
No.
no, no, no.
Well, look, they do have some talent on that team, and Daniel Jones made some throws. In fact, he led them on a game-winning drive there to take the lead, which was shocking. And then on top of it, I think the most shocking aspect of that game was that the defense kept Derrick Henry in check. He didn't really go off yesterday. How surprised were you by that?
Um, I was pretty surprised, but then again, New York doesn't have a slouch in defense. They were actually very competitive the past couple of years. Not as
Correct.
so much last year as they were the year before, but they're not a bad defense. They're really not. They're a couple of players away and some decent coaching to get it done.
All right. Good stuff there. Let's go back out to the comments. Jeremiah says, hello, everyone. We'll give you the Ric Flair for that. Good stuff. Let's go out to Pig Dog Pete. What's your guess on the fallout from Punk, Young Bucks, Omega scuffle? Does anybody get fired from AEW? This is a wrestling question. This was a big time wrestling story coming out last week as Punk won the AEW title and then proceeded to go on a major rant in a media scuffle. The Young Bucks and Omega heard it. In fact, Punk got into a fist fight with Matt Jackson. They all got suspended. Punk, who of course is from Chicago, that's why they call him CM, Chicago man. He got stripped of his title. The Young Bucks had a tag team title, the Trios title. They got stripped of that. So the situation right now in AEW is completely just all over the place. It's a disaster. So I don't know how it's going to work out at this point. I hope it works out because right now WWE has all the momentum right now, especially with Triple H taking over. They have an entertaining product, and I tell you right now, if AEW goes in the way of WCW, where it's a complete disaster, and eventually they fold, that's just going to help WWE that much more. Your thoughts on the wrestling situation, or do you care?
Yeah, yeah. Here, I'll tell you
Wait,
my
wait.
thoughts on
Okay.
wrestling. Here you go.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Okay. All right. Well,
Here you
here's what
go.
you get. That's
Listen,
what you get.
my,
That's what you get right here. How
my,
about
Shut up!
we talk
my,
wrestling on this show? I'm sorry. I hate to tell you.
my knowledge on wrestling was when I was a kid, a guy by the name of Dick the Bruiser.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it was Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and some guy named with a Slim Jim, whatever the hell his name is. And
Yeah!
That guy
yeah,
right
that's it. Yeah, that guy right
there.
there.
That guy. Yeah.
Anything far short of that, I have nothing. My wife loves wrestling, absolutely loves it. She'll turn it on, and I'm like walking in the bedroom going, "I'd rather watch soap operas and
Your wife
you
is
know,
awesome. Your
I'd
wife
rather
is
I'd
awesome.
rather shoot heroin in my I'd rather shoot drugs in my eyes before I watch wrestling on TV."
Would you
How about
shut up
you?
and be quiet? How about that?
Shut up!
But some interesting storylines. It's just kind of disappointing because everybody's looking forward to CM Punk and his
Punk
return.
and Young Bucks.
Well, yes, but Punk now looks like he's hurt.
Sounds
I
like a good
believe
rap
he's
group.
well, it could be. He's got a torn tricep, so he could be out for about 3 or 4 months at this point. So I don't think you're going to fire him after he has an injury, but just the incident in itself, he was calling out other wrestlers. I mean, just think about that for a minute. If you work for a job, you call somebody out and you don't do it to their face, but you do it out in the limelight, of course that other person's going to be upset. Have you ever done that? Have you ever encountered that situation where you thought somebody was wrong, you called them out, but you didn't do it to their face, you did it to somebody else? And then if you did, what was the end result?
Yeah, all that. I don't know nothing about this Punk and Young Buck thing, but what would have been the end result? I'd get rid of them, fire them all.
Well, see, but that's the problem, though. Punk is paid a lot of money. He's a talented wrestler. A lot of fans love him. They love, the Young Bucks. So at the end of the day, they're all stuck with each other at this point. They're going to have to figure it out. And if they don't figure it out, once again, WWE will take advantage of it. Good stuff there, Pig Dog.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the question. Christopher Cole, I love the holes that the O line was opening up. We talked about it. I mean, once again, going back to it, no Ali Marpet, no Ryan Jensen. Of course, Ali retires, unexpectedly
Any
during
chance
the
he comes
offseason.
back?
I heard that he's lost so much weight that now he's not going to come back as an offensive lineman. I mean, again, am I going to rule anything out? I think the guy that needs to come back to this team that you scoffed at that will help this offensive line tremendously is Rob Gronkowski. I tell you what, let's go out
I'll
to
take
Ben
him.
Cornett from Las Vegas. You're on with yours truly, along with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. A victory Monday.
How about them Bucks, baby?
What do you have to say, my friend? Welcome, Ben Cornett.
Guys, good long time no see.
I know, right? And we came early tonight. We kind of got on early because we know that Monday Night Football was on, and on top of it,
That's so we can get off early.
well, we get off early, but on top of it, for me, this is probably going to be one of my most difficult shows because I'm still trying to come to reality that my friend is basically gone, and I'm doing a tribute to him. And I know you had some really nice things to say. Of course, Ben discovered the sports web at the little radio station in the galaxy far, far away. Of course, WTAN 1340 AM 106.1 FM. I mean, give me a memory of Sean the Sports Don, if you would.
Oh, I mean, I came on sort of toward the end before he wasn't as much of a regular on your show. You know what I mean?
Right.
But from what he was fun to listen to, man. I mean, I always loved when he did the So Fresh, So Clean. I mean, you just knew that was.
Well, I mean, and you play that song, and I was listening to that song today, and I'm thinking, Sean is always trying to sing that song, and Harry and Ben, for the life of me, that guy had no voice at all. But every time that song came on, and he would say, "Play my intro," and he had to play his intro, even if I got a copyright strike on YouTube, he would be singing. And the guy can't sing, but I got to tell you right now, after the last week, I like to hear that voice again. And I don't know, maybe I'll come up with something.
Maybe you can find it. We can bring it back up sometime.
Yes, maybe,
I
definitely.
mean, we had a pretty good show yesterday. Could you imagine the four of us if we would have added Don the Sports Con? I like to call him that, Don the Sports Con,
Well,
but it's not
Todd,
the Sports Con.
here's
That was your dad did that. Your dad did that.
And now here's the great story about this. Guys, I know you want to talk Bucks football, and just allow me to talk about my friend a little bit in this show because he was the forefather, the man that created this show in the first place. He was the first co-host, and he had a lot of ideas about this, very creative. We came up with basically because we were on a 1,000-watt radio station, we couldn't get callers. So my dad became Rich from Clearwater, and he would call and stir the pot. Well, Sean knew who it was. He always knew who it was. So they had a running gag. Sean would say, I'm loving life. I'm the sports Don. I'm this, I'm that, and the other thing. And my dad was like, Con, every time. And I swear, I hope both of those guys are in heaven right now. And I hope my dad is saying that and they're hugging each other and just talking sports because those are the times where you take
I'm not going to let you get emotional, Peter. I'm just not going to let you do it. I know you're going to, but what do you think he would have did if Don was with the three of us yesterday? It would have been a four-person, and having to see Ray in that swimming pool like Ray Net, we were taking care of.
I think my dad would have lost it. He would have lost it.
How about Don?
Right. Don would have lost it. Don would have joined. Probably Don would have done something crazy himself because that's how Sean was.
I
And
bet you Sean. Bet you Sean would have did a cannonball in front of Ray.
he probably would have. He probably would.
Probably in his underwear.
Ben, go ahead. Say what
What-
you want to
what-
say, my friend.
Well, I was gonna say real quick, what would Don have thought of that crop top that Ray was sporting yesterday?
Oh, that was an original jersey. That was game worn by him. That was the muscle
by-
hamster.
By Doug Martin. Yeah.
It was.
Imagine Don.
I tell you what,
Don.
Sean the Sports Dom would have said last night. He would have said, "I'm a defensive guy, and I love that effort by the Bucks defense." And he was all about the Bucks, man. He was a big time Bucks fan, and got some videos to show tonight of him. But
Well,
yeah,
Ben, at least you can call Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy.
Yeah.
Ray Net.
Ray Nets.
Ray. Peter, I gotta tell you, man, last night was fun to watch for me. I know
It was great.
complaining about the offense,
Right.
But I'm like, it wasn't. I get it. We didn't play our best, but defensively, that's what I love.
Yeah.
Like we smashed the Cowboys.
You
Leonard
ran the
Fournette
football.
You ran the
the
football.
party.
You were balanced.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to love that. And
Oh,
Harry, he didn't like that hit by Leonard Fournette. He said it was a penalty. To me, I think it was a legal hit. I think it was
No. Let me be perfectly clear. I
Okay.
loved the hit,
Okay.
but it was borderline bad, buddy. It was borderline bad. That hit right there reminded me something you were going to see from the 70s or the 80s, man.
Yeah.
He's like, that was nah, it's not as egregious and bad as what Warren Sapp did.
Oh, no. I
Oh.
mean, keep your head on a swivel. And that was a legal hit at the time, too.
At the time. Can you imagine today?
Oh, no.
The cancel culture would have been like, Warren, you're done.
He's done.
You're
Yeah.
over.
He would
You're
have been
over.
out of the league. I mean,
you're
people,
suspended.
right.
Suspended.
Suspended for the year. Yeah, absolutely.
Cancel culture would have got him. It would have been bye-bye.
What else did you see out of that game last night, Ben?
Well, I got to tell you, Julio Jones looks like he just went to the fountain of youth again.
Right.
See that catch?
Yes.
Oh my God, what a catch!
TB12. That's what it is. We all need to get on the TB12 method at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, it reminds me of that commercial.
Yeah.
I'll have steak. Oh, I'll have his parsley.
I'll have his parsley. No. I'll have a salad.
Jeez. Oh my gosh.
But I don't know. But then Mike Evans had to say, "Hold my beer, Julio. Let me make this catch."
Yes.
One-handed.
Yes.
They were a couple of yards from each other. I mean, they both played very well. And next week it could be Russell Gage.
But how crazy is it, Ben?
Yeah.
Because you've been a Bucks fan for a long time, and we've seen Julio Jones be a Bucks killer. How crazy is it to have Chris Godwin on the field with Mike Evans and Julio Jones, and actually be rooting for Julio Jones to kill the other team and not the Bucks?
I'm fine with it.
Right.
More the merrier.
Agree.
That's what
Agree.
makes this offense so great.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it didn't play great last night, but you know what though? It'll get better. I mean, it's the first game. It's one game.
Yeah.
And then the Saints next week. My worry is the offensive line, guys. I'm really worried now.
You should be.
I don't know what's going to happen with Donovan. Yeah, with Donovan, he might be able to play, but still.
Let me tell you something. There's one saving grace of that, Ben, is because it's his right hand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, I got to do some comparisons here. I mean, from the Chicago Bears to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, both offenses scored 19 points here, guys. I mean, let's compare these receivers. Anybody heard Pettis or Pringle or Equamus St. Brown?
Yeah. God bless you.
Griffin?
I've heard none of them.
All right, hold on. We have heard of Darnell Mooney. What would he be? The third best wide receiver in Tampa? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, pretty much. And really, Tampa Bay should have won this game handily last night with all the opportunities they had in the red zone. And like we talked about it, they've got to work on that. That's something that you're going to have to work on. But at the end of the day, you feel confident that Tom Brady can work with these wide receivers and these weapons to get it done. Anything else, Ben?
Yeah. I would love to see Mike Evans get more involved in the red zone, to throw it up in the air to Mike Evans.
Correct.
I don't know why they don't do that more often.
Well,
they're saving it.
Well, I don't necessarily think they're saving it. I think there's teams out there that defend it, and when you
They do.
don't have
They're playing a corner on them. They're playing
right.
man, and then they're
You're
playing the
bracketing
safety over
cover.
the top.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know.
this week you may have an opportunity with Lattimore, who's giving him problems, but Mike Evans is also giving him problems. So it's pretty equal matchup. And I think you may have an opportunity. Just remember a couple years ago in the postseason where Evans gets that ball right over Lattimore, gets a touchdown, and basically that's about it at that point. So
And
we've
it looks
seen
like
this
this,
matchup.
and beware because the slant master's back, baby.
Well, he had 2 touchdowns yesterday. Jameis Winston was 16 for 19, 216 with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I know there's a lot of Bucs fans that still follow him, but on Sunday he's the
Two
enemy.
touchdowns,
Yep.
no picks. He had 9 incompletions. He completed 23 of 34.
Tremendous.
Okay.
Tremendous.
And of course Hill, 4 attempts for 81 yards. That ain't happening next week. Okay,
No.
I assure you of that.
I'll tell you
I
right
don't
now,
think he'll get 20.
yeah.
Alvin Kamara,
If you see him on the goal line, guys, you see him at the 5-yard line, he's going jet sweep. He's running the ball. He's not throwing the ball. So play for the run. And the way Devin White played last night, Ben, I know you're a big fan. I mean, what did you think of his play? 6 tackles, leading the team, 2 sacks, really got
Great.
after it, almost had an interception. And that is the big time difference, guys, with Levante David being 100%, unlike what he was last year, which was 60.
Well, that's what I was saying too on my thread yesterday. That he looks healthier. Levante looks so much healthier, moves so much faster. I mean, that offseason really helped him, get, better. And yeah, Devin White. I mean, what can you say? Like you said, 6 tackles, couple sacks. I mean, he was getting there. He does still miss a few tackles in the open field. I saw last night.
Because he's aggressive, Ben.
bit.
He's an aggressive player.
Yeah.
Don't ever take that away from him.
Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely not. You can try to channel it though too. But other than that, I mean, my God, he played really good.
Yeah,
so I'm focusing
he did.
on the positive part, like you said, Peter, the positive.
Positive. We're all about positivity here on a Victory Monday, my friend.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can all go negative all we want to and pick and prod, but at the end of the day, it's only one game. They could have lost this game. You could have been like the Atlanta Falcons, have a big lead and blow it. Once again, the Atlanta Falcons showing they don't know how to still play defense. I mean, you could be
coordinator Dean Pease say you kind of seen our defense be this bad, right? Lower in the top 20, and then look what happened.
Well, yeah, and you could be like the Carolina Panthers who think they're going to win, and then Cleveland kicks a long field goal, and their defense allows them with Baker Mayfield, the Baker Mayfield Bowl yesterday. I mean,
how about Cordero Patterson yesterday?
Yes.
No one's talking about him. No, seriously, listen to these stats. How about out of the backfield, 22 attempts for $120?
But they stopped going to him. They stopped running the ball. They decided to throw the ball with Marcus Mariota, which I told you, if you have Mariota as your starting quarterback, you don't have a starting quarterback. Understand why they would.
And then they targeted him 5 times. He had 3 receptions. It was only 16 yards. I'm going to tell you who the disappointment was Kyle Pitts again. 7 targets and 2 receptions. Are you kidding me?
I believe he was hurt in the game too. Was he not? Was he hurt in this game?
I don't know. That's a lot of targets, though. 7 targets.
Yeah,
I'd have to look back at it, but I don't.
But the impressive receiver was for New Orleans. Jarvis Landry, underrated, 9 targets, 7 receptions, $114, no TDs. He was moving those chains. Michael Thomas, he got targeted 8 times, caught it 5 times for 57 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Let me tell you something. Jameis Winston's playing some ball. No picks, baby. That's what it is. No picks.
No picks at all, and that's how it has to go for this Saints team. Any team when you're playing quarterback at the end of the day. Ben, I got to ask you this: what do you think about the AEW situation? Because Pig Dog talked about it. I know Harry doesn't care about it, but I do know you care about it. The CM Punk situation. What's your take on it? And if you're running AEW right now, would you fire CM Punk, the Young Bucks, or are you going to let this try to play out and see if they can work it out?
Oh, Peter, this was so embarrassing. Tony Khan, it's disappointing. Why didn't he stop it?
Because he's Tony Khan. Because he's a fan. He's a fan.
Isn't it a big soap opera with a whole bunch of people going at each other?
But here's the thing, it's always a big soap opera, but this was actually real. This wasn't a work. I mean, this was a shoot by CM Punk
Oh,
calling
so
out.
so what you're saying, there was an actual fight that happened.
Yes, at the
I
end.
see, I'd pay for that.
Well, see, there you go.
Yeah.
And that's going to make
In
you
the wrestling,
watch.
yeah, in the wrestling business,
No.
we call that a shoot work.
Yes,
You know,
shoot work.
like-
Yep.
Or
Yep.
a work shoot. I'm sorry. A work
Right.
shoot.
Right.
So, but as the owner, he should have said, you know what, guys, it's been a long night. No more questions. That's it for the evening. They're done.
Right.
But he let it go on, and he just sat there with this dumbass look on his, like this. Oh my god!
Right.
Yeah, I'm letting this guy run my. But he pays them the most money.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's what it comes down to. I mean, that's your breadwinner. And I get it. You have Adam Hangman Page, you have the Young Bucks, you have Kenny Omega, who may be far more talented, even the MJF, who may be going to WWE in 2024. Who knows? I think that could also be a storyline. But at the end of the day, as my co-host used to say, your bread is buttered with CM Punk. And CM Punk is the guy that's making the most money, and he's the breadwinner at this point. And of course, Khan is a fan. He's a fanboy. He said it. He's a fan. He's not a Vince McMahon. He doesn't have people around him like Triple H and Shawn Michaels and guys like that have been in the business that will tell CM Punk to shut the hell up, or people in that locker room that will step to him. That is the difference right now. Just my opinion.
Guess what? Yeah, and I absolutely agree with your opinion. Respect it. You got to wonder now, Peter. Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Maybe he was right all
Who?
along. Maybe
Cody Rhodes.
Dusty.
Oh, yeah.
Dusty's son. The American.
Oh, Dusty Rhodes. See, now
Yes.
you're talking. Now
Well,
you're talking English
it's
with
his
American.
son. It's his son, Cody Rhodes. He was with AEW. In fact, he was the EVP at the time.
Does he wear those funny shorts too, with those big high white boots?
He does. He
Oh,
actually
okay,
does
good.
wear the white. He
Well,
does wear some white boots.
The white boots.
Yes, he does. Does he not wear the white boots? Yeah.
Yeah, he wears the white boots with the American, nightmare.
American Nightmare.
flag and
Right.
that.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So
And
he
you
went
guys
to
know-
he went to
Seriously.
WWE. Yes.
we have to have a very long talk tomorrow.
Listen, there's not a lot of great television on not a lot of great television right
Pete,
now. So I
Pete.
grew up on wrestling.
We have to have a
here's
very
the
long talk
funniest thing.
tomorrow.
If I were talking about this right now and Sean were on air, he would be doing the same thing you're doing, Harry. He would do the same thing. He's like, I cannot believe you still watch that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course I still watch it. I grew up on it.
God.
It's like
we're gonna have to talk to Harry and everybody.
right,
We're gonna have to
exactly.
try to
We'll have our
convert,
own wrestling show.
Yeah.
Oh no. Maybe Ray Ned will do it with you guys, but not me.
You shut up about Ray Ned.
Shut up!
All right, Ben. Thanks a lot for the call, man. Let me give you the Byron
How
Leftwich.
about them Bucks, baby?
Let me give you the Ric Flair. Appreciate you as always.
Can we do a Dusty Rhodes in there, or maybe, or
I could try to find that.
Right now,
oh God, don't do it.
Gary Bird.
I'm gonna disown you.
Like watching wrestling, man. Come on.
I don't know what that.
Wrestling.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Good stuff. Appreciate you, Ben. All right, good stuff there from Ben Cornett from Las
I love
Vegas,
Ben.
of course, chiming in. I love him too. Let's go out to I Love St. Pete. Carl and Sherry Beatty, we're listening in. Peter H. Blake, thank you very much, as always, for listening. Connected Caregivers Radio. Hi, Peter. Thanks a lot for listening, Linda. Appreciate it. Teresa says, hi, guys. What's going on, Teresa? And Ed Gross, who hasn't called in a while, don't know why, but commenting right now. Peter the Great and the Greek. Let's go out to these comments here. Roger Shue says, Punk's out for 8 months. Christine Bishop says, hello, love. Thank you very much for tuning in. Jeremiah says, show it on here. We shall show some of those videos on here along with some stories here. If you like to hang out with me and reminisce a little bit, I would appreciate it. Justin Fields is my quarterback. Jeremiah, the block on Parsons, absolutely. And Evan Shear says, great show, boys. Go Bucks.
How about them Bucks, baby?
All right.
$10.
Yes. So shall we finish up with week one? What else did you take out of week one? And then I'm going to talk about my friend and you can chime in and I'm going to show some videos and stuff like that.
You know, I could chime in and tell you a couple of things about week one. A lot of upsets.
Yes.
You heard it when we were talking all week long. Don't be surprised about all the upsets. And there's going to be a couple coming up this week. I could give these pick out right now, but Not quite ready.
I think you should save that for the over/under. Are we going to continue to do that on Sunday morning? I like Sunday morning.
Of course you do.
You feed me, and I like Sunday morning. I like hanging out with you guys, and of course, you're my co-host now. Ray being my co-host from the past, and going to Sean. So we'll save those picks, but I want to get out to this right here because, like I said, we were doing a 1,000-watt radio station gig at the time. I want to go ahead and give some clarity on how we actually met. I was doing a show for 1010 AM. He was a caller. He agreed with everything that I said. We met. We instantly had that chemistry like you and I do here, Harry and Ray and other guys in the past that I've done shows with. But crazy chemistry. In fact, we met at Geno Hayes' show, who also passed away, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. He had a show at the Tampa Bay Humidor. We met out there, and our friendship grew. A lot of great memories. One, a baseball one, where we are at the Geno Hayes show at the time. The Rays are playing the Yankees, of course, and this is where I believe the Yankees are up 7-0, and the Rays come back with Evan Longoria. That was one of the great memories here. But in case you have not seen Sean the Sports Don in action with me and him talking on a Saturday afternoon where we had the only FM sports talk show at the time, here you go. Here's a little piece.
I'm going to hear it.
What a comeback!
And that's how we start out the Sports Web on Saturday afternoons on the Tan Talk Sports Network. The only FM sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area on Saturday afternoons from 3 to 5. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Sean the Sports Don, who's running just a little bit late. He'll be along here in a little bit. But what can you say about that Super Bowl that hasn't already been said? Was that the greatest Super Bowl that you've ever seen? A 25-point comeback by the New England Patriots. And I think basically to start the game, even at halftime, 28-3, you think this game is going to be over. You think that it's basically over with. Turn out the lights, go to bed. If you're a Patriots fan, you may hold out some hope, but we were texting back and forth.
Yes.
I got numerous texts by people who said, I told you, Pete. I told you that the Atlanta Falcons were going to win this game. And I said, I tell you right now.
Hold on.
It's never over until it's over.
Especially when you're playing Tom Brady.
And Bill Belichick.
Well,
They're like a snake in the grass. You got to cut their head off. And if you don't, it comes back to bite you in the ass, and it did last Sunday.
And I will say this. I heard a lot of people talking about the players of the Falcons. They choked. The players didn't choke. The coaches choked. It was a terrible coaching job in the second half. One, when you're up by 16 points and it's 3rd and 1 with like 7 minutes to go, you don't throw the ball. You run the ball.
It's 3rd and 1.
3rd and 1.
And you decide to pass the ball. I don't understand
listen,
it.
and not only
if
that,
you're Matt Ryan, you cannot take that sack.
Wait a minute. No.
You can't.
No, I'm talking about the 3rd and 1 when there was a strip fumble.
Right.
Okay. Well,
he shouldn't be throwing on that down anyway.
That's what I'm saying. But you can't
later
say,
in the game in the fourth quarter.
Okay, let me finish. Let me paint it up for you now. It's 3rd and 1 right there. Your defense has been out on that field all game long. They're tired. Okay? Run the ball, try to conserve some clock. Even if you don't pick up the first down, you punt the ball away, you give Tom Brady and the Patriots a long field to have to move down the field and score a touchdown, okay? If that's the case. But you give them the ball on the, 20-yard line, and Tom Brady scores a touchdown in, next 2 or 3 plays? Okay?
Exactly.
Then, now, let's go to where you're talking about where you can't take the sack, but that blitz was straight up the middle. Why are we passing the ball anyway when you're already in field goal range?
I honestly think Kyle Shanahan was checked out. He was ready to take the job with the 49ers.
You're already.
And I'll tell you right now, I would enact a rule that you can't talk to these coaches during that week because we talked about it last week with Lane Kiffin. I think Leo mentioned it. There was a distraction there with Lane Kiffin leaving for Alabama for FAU. How would it be a distraction in this game? Because Kyle Shanahan, by all accounts, was going to be the next 49er head coach. And sure enough, the first half, he was great. The second half, That was bad. I'll tell you right now, hats off to the New England Patriots. Say whatever you want to about this organization, but at the end of the day, Bill Belichick is a defensive mastermind. He shuts down what you do well. He did it against Julio Jones. Julio Jones had four catches, lowest output since 2011. And in the second half, it was a defensive game plan. They shut the Falcons down, and there was nothing they could do.
But here's the thing, too.
We'll talk about that with Leo Haggerty at 3:30. Okay. We'll also get into it with Rick Brown, go around the NFL. Talk about John Lynch not making the Hall of Fame, which I don't understand why. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch working together. That's an interesting proposition. We'll also talk about your Tampa Bay Lightning, who gained a point last night, and don't look now, but are only 5 points away from the final wild card spot.
You're holding on hope, aren't you?
I don't think they're done. They played well lately with their goaltending situation. And then on top of that, I know we have to get into this. What in the world is going on with the New York Knicks?
The Knicks. What is going on?
A dysfunctional organization.
We're going to definitely get into that.
And on the Carmelo comments, Phil Jackson, Charles Oakley, and then, of course, Kevin Durant tonight returns to Oklahoma City. I'm just going to watch it to watch the intro. So a lot of things to talk about today on the sports web. We're not going to just focus on football, but this is definitely going to be a recap show. 727-441-3000 or 866-826-1340. Every listening online, TantalkNetwork.com. Go ahead.
I want to also get your thoughts on baseball, their proposed rules changes for the extra innings. I don't know if you like that or not, but I think that'll be an interesting conversation today.
I'll tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines. We call this the evolution of sports talk radio, and this is... All right, so welcome back to the evolution of sports talk television. As it's awesome to see that.
He looked great, and you had no gray.
I had no gray at all, and I was in much better shape. That's for sure. So I look at that video and I watch him.
But Peter,
yes.
But Peter, round is a shape.
You shut up. You know, the one thing about doing a show with him is, and he would go, let me finish. Because I've been cutting him off, and I've been trying to run the show. And at the time, when you're a producer, you got to kind of hit these breaks. You know, this is the great thing about being on Facebook and YouTube and on these other platforms. You don't have any commercial breaks, although I like to have some commercial spots. But, you know, we had those commercial breaks. You had to hit them. We had, music and stuff like that. He would be wanting to go off into a rant or a tirade. I'd be like, just hold up. Let me finish. All right, let me hit this break, and then I'll let you come back. The guy loved Tampa Bay sports, especially the Rays. And I just remember getting into debates with him about the Tampa Bay Rays and ownership, and he was just a fan until the end. In fact, I'll tell you right now, I'll show you another video here. And the great thing was, I'm not going to get emotional because I've already done that. I've been a mess for the whole week. I'm just put it out there. I'm just going to say this. He always said he was trying to help me out because he's my co-host. But what he didn't know was I was trying to help him out. Realized his dream as a sports broadcaster. And I finally got him credentialed with the Bucks. And here we go. Well, to another edition of the Sports Web. I'm Peter Blake along with Sean the Sports Don. Thanks a lot for checking in. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers miss out on a golden opportunity to get a win at home as they fall to the Oakland Raiders 30-24. I'll give you 3 reasons why this happened on Sunday. Actually, we'll both give you 3 reasons why this happened on Sunday. My number 1 reason would be the secondary. In fact, check out these numbers. Derek Carr, 40 for 59, 513 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And to me, it looked like the secondary today was completely overmatched. In fact, the Oakland wide receivers were running free all day long. I'll also put this out there. I think Vernon Hargreaves probably had his worst game of his young NFL career because Amari Cooper went off 12 catches for 173 yards and a touchdown. The secondary really looked like they were overmatched today versus this high, potent Raider offense. What was your point?
Well, I don't want to just put it all on the secondary. I want to say the whole defense as a whole stunk today. That's just the bottom line. You can't give up 500 yards of passing, 128 yards of rushing, and think that it's just the secondary. In order for the secondary to play well at times, you have to get a pass rush. We didn't do that. We knew we had to do that going into this game. This is a potent offense, like you said. So I don't want to say that the Bucs didn't have their work cut out for them, because they actually did. But I thought they would put up a better performance today. So I'm going to say the defense as a whole. We got to be able to stop the team when you up 7 points and you have 3 minutes to go in the game. You have to end that game. The Bucs' great defense of old, they used to do that. We didn't do that today. Disappointing.
No, I didn't get pressure on the quarterback once again, which leads me to my second point. I think one of the most disappointing things about this loss was the fact that the Buccaneers will probably look back on this loss and say that the Oakland Raiders were trying to give them this game because they had 23 penalties for 200 yards. But when it came down to it, the Buccaneers probably had the most critical penalty of the game. The Raiders are driving for a tying touchdown. It's 4th and 3. They pick up a holding penalty, and the Raiders have new life. And, of course, they take advantage and tie the game up, and we go into overtime. So, again, this is an opportunity to win at home. You have to take advantage of those opportunities. And, once again, it's a penalty at a critical time that costs this team.
Well, you're talking about penalties, but I just want to talk about taking advantage of your opportunities when they present themselves, taking advantage of the mistakes the other team commits. This team, again, committed 24 penalties the Bucs did not take advantage of. In the overtime, they had a drive where they committed 3 penalties on their own side of the field, which pushed them out of field goal range. Janikowski missed that field goal. So
He missed 2 field goals.
He missed 2 field goals. And again, we did not take advantage of it. I think the Bucs will look back at this game, if they missed the playoff, let's say by 1 game, and kick themselves for not taking advantage of it. Because good teams, they take advantage when another team commits 24 penalties. That's disappointing.
It was disappointing. And I'll tell you another thing that was disappointing, which leads me to my third point. Jameis Winston, 16 for 32, 182 yards, no turnovers, 2 touchdowns. But today he looked ineffective. He looked like he missed a lot of deep throws, and this was one of those points coming into the season that he had to improve on. Last year he wasn't very good with his completion percentage deep. If you're going to throw deep, you're going to have to make some of those throws, and he didn't today. And in saying that, I think the wide receivers really didn't play a good game. You didn't have Russell Shepard. He had a touchdown, but he really didn't have any big yards. You didn't really see those performances like you saw last week from Mike Evans. So these wide receivers today were overmatched, and that's disappointing because if you look at this game, the Raiders coming in were not highly ranked as a defense, especially against the pass. So Jameis Winston has to be better. These wide receivers have to be better. And like Winston said in his press conference, he wasn't precise. And Dirk Cutter said it best, they didn't do enough consistently to move the ball.
No, they didn't. And my third key is, you know what? I'm going to leave it up to you fans. You know where to find us. Every Saturday, 3 to 5, Sports Web, Tan Talk Radio. You tell me what you want us to say for my third pick. I got you. I'm with you. But I'm just tired of talking about these Bucs right now because I've been here all day. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I want my bed.
Whoa. Calm down.
I'm tired. I want my bed. I'm out.
He's out. So we look back. All right. So there you go. I'll bring him back in here. Bring back Harry in here. There's a great story about this because I actually had to edit it up because he actually decides just to walk off. And he was talking off the air, so I had to edit it out. But it was the first time he was in the press box, and he didn't know how to act, right? I mean, I couldn't believe he got into a suit. He got into a suit, and he was like, I look good. We did a video on Facebook before that. All the people liked his suit better than mine, which was cool. He loved that. He ate that up. But
that was like a remake of the movie Twins. Okay. I mean, you look like you. And I know Sean is going to start laughing from heaven looking down at us when I tell him you look like Spud Webb compared to him.
Oh, I'm telling you. And I was like, and here's the thing. The interesting thing is we weren't allowed on the field at the time. We didn't know we were supposed to be on the field. So Mr. Buzz, Rick Brown, actually set my camera up, and we weren't sure if we were going to get in trouble, but we had to do it because we were out there. We did a recap. And it was just, amazing because he was there in the press box. He was trying not to be a fan, but I could see him and his foot kept on moving. And he's like, watch this, Spider. And he's the only guy who called me Spider. And this goes back to the Sports Mob days at 10:10 a.m. I allowed it. And it was funny when he decided to co-host with me. I said, look, I'm now Peter Blake. And he did it in his best Bryant Gumbel. Oh, you're Peter Blake. Oh, okay. And it lasted for about 2 minutes. And he called me Spider after that. And I allowed it. Like, Spider. He's like real quiet. He's like, Spider. They got to stop him here. If they stop him, they win. And of course, the Bucks let us down as they had a holding penalty, gave second life to Derek Carr. And eventually, I think they went in for a touchdown. But it was crazy because he wasn't sure how to act because he's never been in a press box before. So I was telling him, be professional. Don't act like a fan. Spider, I can't do this. I can't do it. It's like, and he was really like that. Like he was hungry. He didn't know what to think. He was disappointed with the Bucks, but he was just jumping. He was trying to jump out of his seat. And I was like, don't you be the one that gets us kicked out of the press box. I tell you what, let me go out to a guy who worked with Sean, the sports don. And look, we met him together in the press box and developed this relationship on the sports web on Saturday afternoons. Let me go out to the guy right here, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Let me go ahead and get his walk-up music on. Here we go. Former Coach Scout and now media member of Amped Up Sports and Night Sports Productions, Mr. Leo Haggerty, the legend right there. Trying not to get emotional right now as we do a salute to our friend, Mr. Sean, the sports don. Give me your favorite memory because you guys had lots of favorite memories together. One I remember is when you would call up, he would go, hey, me and Leo, we're going to go paint the town. We're going out together. We're going. And Leo, you would agree with it. And I'm like, hey, what about me? And he'd be like, I don't care about you. I'm going to go out with Leo, the legend. So, Leo, go ahead and talk about Sean a little bit.
I can still remember sitting in the studio, and Peter, you said something, and all Sean did was go, Spider, Spider, Spider. You've lost your mind. I had to leave. I had to walk out in the hallway. I'm going, oh, my God, this is hysterical.
Yes.
Have you lost your mind?
Yes. And he was the only one that could call me Spider at the time. Of course, he remembered. Yes,
and it wasn't Spider. It was Spider.
It was Spider.
Spydar. Spider.
Spider. Let me finish. Let me paint it up, Spider. You're overcooking the grits. I'm like, oh my God, I love this guy. And especially when you talk about the NBA, because he was a football fan. He loved the Rays. But boy, he was like, Spider, why don't you talk more about the NBA? And I'm like, well, because nobody really likes the NBA. But at the time, we were a 1,000-watt radio station. So whatever, let's talk about the NBA. He would get so passionate about it. And you would say Michael Jordan was the greatest player of all time. He would say, nah, Magic Johnson is different eras, all this other stuff. So,
yeah, he said Michael Jordan was the greatest player. And I said, you ain't seen Wilt play, pal. That would change your tune quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, let me go ahead and get Harry out of here. Harry, go ahead and promote yourself. Travis.
Hi, Leo.
You're on hold here, Travis. Stand by. Really quick, I tell you what, Harry, do you want to hang out for you got to go? You got to run here? All right. Go ahead and promote yourself here, Harry the Greek.
Thanks for having me on. Sean, we're going to miss you, brother. We had a couple interactions, especially with you calling into the shows. It was always a lot of fun. But you can catch me live with Peter Blake on the sports web. But on Friday nights or Sundays, we haven't really determined which one it's going to be, but we're going to definitely let you know by putting a post out there. You can watch us on the over-under with my co-host, Mr. Peter Blake. And you know what? We might even sprinkle a little Leo Haggerty in there, only if Ray Nett joins us. But Peter, appreciate you having me on. You can explain to Leo what the Ray Nett is all about.
And as Sean the sports dog would say, I'm gonna be on the over-under.
Love you. There you go. Good stuff, Harry. Let me go out to Leo here, but let me go out to the phone lines. Another guy that he knew very well we did some radio and did some remotes together. Mr. Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, welcome to the Evolution. And I got to ask you, because I'm doing a tribute tonight. Of course, we're talking Bucks and NFL. We got Leo Haggerty, the legend, but talking about Sean, getting a little emotional. What's your favorite memory of him?
Just being, Sean and I had a love, hate, love relationship, but we used to always dig each other and always combat each other with different topics and things like that. I loved going toe to toe with that guy, man. He's a special individual, special person, and I'm gonna miss him because we haven't talked to the guy in a considerable amount of time, and unfortunately, things happen like they happen, but I just wish he was still here because Sean's a good guy, and I know how much he meant to Pete and to other people. So it's a sad day, it really is. But let's just honor his memory and keep him in our thoughts, and hopefully his family's doing okay during this really super tough time. But
and you know what, Travis, the one thing that Sean hated about you is you had better hair than him.
Well, you guys are talking about.
He used to call you the
mini
red.
Mullet.
We used to call you the goblin. The goblin.
Goblin. That's right. Well, John used to like the wangs.
The wangs. There it is. The wangs. We all have something in common, right? And it stems from Leo. Because anytime you get around Leo Haggerty, you're going to eat well. But, Sean, he always loved the wangs. We had the wangs there. You had to have some chicken wings. And if you bet them, it was always on that. It wasn't wings. It was wangs. That's how you would say it. And, just great stuff there. Great. I was just thinking about it today. All the remotes that we did together, Average Joe's and Ferg's and places like that. You want those moments back again. And you don't have them, and that's just the way life is. And you're exactly right, Travis. That's what we have to do on this show is honor him, and just make sure that we do right by him by telling everybody how great he was, because he really was great. And like I said before, I kind of broke down. He always said he was trying to help me out because it was my first show, guys. I was hosting myself, and I was really scared. I really was. I didn't do that before. I was always a co-host, and
this isn't your first show?
It is not my first show.
Coming across like your first show.
It seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem like it sometimes? And you know what? This is what you get.
Shut up!
I tell you right now, sometimes it is with you, Travis.
Seems like the first time.
Well, it is. It was like the first time, and I remember the first show we did. It was an hour, and the reason why I remember it is because the owner and the general manager called at the same time, and Sean was like, "I don't care. Let's go another hour." And I was like, "Hey, listen, if I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired on this show." And it didn't matter if the owner or the GM called. We were still doing our thing. And you can just listen to him just get better and better and more comfortable. But he was the guy, man. He was my guy. And I thought it would be a great dynamic. And you all know when we were there, we were doing shows and being a host. It didn't matter if it was a 1,000-watt radio station. We thought of it as ESPN. We thought of it as Fox Sports. We thought of it as First Take. We thought we were on a 50,000 or 100,000-watt station at the time. And that's how you have to go into it. And that's what I really appreciate with all you guys, having a relationship with you throughout the years. It's been amazing. So,
well, the best thing, Pete, you always got to remember the 3 E's, and that's what you guys did, and that's what I try to do. You got to entertain, you got to engage, and you got to educate. And I think that's every time we did a show together, you, me, Sean, Leo, I think we all bring something of the 3 E's. And that's what makes productive shows and great radio and great internet stuff are those 3 E's. And I think if other people would take the time to use that as a baseline for doing a show, I think people will be successful like yourself, like Leo Haggerty. And I haven't reached that level of success as you guys just yet.
You're doing well, my friend. You're doing well because.
Hey, Travis, I got to throw this one out at you.
Wow.
You got to look at our stand-up from the Howard game. I called it 41-21 and it ended up 42-20.
He's right. He did. And I thought we were going to get ran over by the Bulls players. In fact, I was standing there, my Spud Webb self,
And it was the O-line. They ain't stopping.
They ain't stopping. They're about to run me over there. We're on with Travis Fraley, of course, and the legend Leo Haggerty here, reminiscing about Sean, the sports son. I tell you what, boys, let's go ahead and talk some football, and we'll get back to Sean in a moment here. But Leo, your thoughts on that big win last night with the Bucs over the Cowboys?
Boy, how bad is Dallas? And again, I don't think they're bad. They got no players left. That looks like a mass unit out there. And how about Dak Prescott getting booed and thrown at? Guy's got a broken finger. I mean, come on. This is.
That's what happens when you take the big money, Leo. That's what happens when you take the big money and dollars are wasted. You let Amari Cooper go. You do nothing to really help him in the offseason, but now you're cash strapped because, you're paying the guy 40 million plus, and you're seeing it not only in Dallas, you're seeing it in Green Bay, and you're seeing it in other places. Look what's going to happen with the Cardinals and Kyler Murray paying that big money to a medium.
Well, you know what's funny about Green Bay? Green Bay lost that game on the first play when Aaron Rodgers drops a dime to the Wookiee right out, and he drops it. Aaron Rodgers is not throwing the ball to him the rest of the night. That's just not going to happen. And you can see the look in his face like, really? Did that just happen?
But Travis brings up a great point, and I've kind of harped on this and beat a dead horse on this show. Aaron Rodgers takes a big-time contract. He loses his number one weapon in Devontae Adams. Dak Prescott takes big-time money. He loses Amari Cooper. I mean, there's plenty of examples out there of quarterbacks losing number one wide receivers, and they should be following the Brady blueprint. I tell you what, let's talk about Tom
Brady. You can't follow the Brady blueprint because you don't have a wife that makes more money than you do.
Well,
that's
even
the problem.
Even when he didn't have Giselle, Leo, he's still
taking. Whoa, Pete! That didn't happen. Let's get out of this.
He was taking less money for the Patriots to help them
out. Oh, Peter, I don't know if he took less money or had it restructured. Okay. You can't go home and tell your wife, "Hey, I just took less money." No. It was restructured. But I'll tell you what. Let's skip Brady. I am very disappointed that Godwin played last night because now, dear God, he may be out another 2-3 weeks.
Well, yeah, and then Todd Bowles comes out today here, Travis, and says, and Leo, that the injury may not be as bad as they thought, which is a good thing, but we all know that a hamstring injury can be a lingering issue. Leo says he shouldn't have played. Where do you stand on this, Travis?
Well, if the doctor clears him, he clears him. This isn't any given Sunday, where James Woods is got a.
Yes, I remember. Listen, I remember that movie, and it's. I'm sorry, but that is accurate. I still think that's one of the most accurate football movies out there because it was going on, and that's the reason why a lot of people.
Hey, watch North Dallas 40. It's the same way.
I mean, but you're exactly right. I think these days.
Wasn't that movie made in the 40s? That North Dallas 40s? He was showing his age right
there. Don't make me come through this. I will do that.
No, you must upgrade it.
Yeah, listen to you.
The only thing we're missing here, Travis, we need to get Roy Cummings and get Rick Sassone on, and then we'd have the Force 5 from Tampa, right?
Yep. Or we got Rick Brown on. We would have the sports, the sports web in the radio station because we all got together for a remote at Average Joe's. I remember that we were all there and just having a good time. And it's just for me, it's not necessarily always about the money, or for me, it's about the relationships with people. I shouldn't say that because you got to make money when you do this and you got to love it. But at the end of the day, you got to love the relationships that you have with the people that you're around. And like I said, I just appreciate those times even more. But going back to it here, Chris Godwin, you don't think he should have played? You think he should have played? And then what do you think?
No, I think he wants. The guy wants to play. He's got to get on the field. And
right.
I think if he's out a couple weeks, that's a couple 2-3 weeks. I think the Bucs are going to be fine because you lost a legitimate playoff contender in the Dallas Cowboys last night. Yes, is Washington going to be have a better season? Yes. Is Philadelphia going to probably go and win that division now? Yeah, probably. Yeah. You got to look at the cream of the crop of the conference guys. I think unfortunately, for my wife and her family, I think Green Bay is going to take a step back. I think Minnesota is going to step up. considerably. I have Minnesota possibly going to the NFC Championship, possibly against the Buccaneers.
How do you see that working out, Leo, that division? I mean, Chicago yesterday with the surprising win. We'll get back to that in a moment, Travis, because I'm curious to hear.
Rain and mirrors, my friend.
Rain and mirrors, but still making some key throws there. That will be Justin Fields. But talk about that division, Leo, as a whole. You have Green Bay, disappointing performance versus Minnesota. You have Detroit yesterday, played well. And then you have Chicago, kind of a surprise there over the San Francisco 49ers. Again, it's the first game. But what do we make of this division overall? Is Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay in trouble?
No, I don't think so. Again, Peter, if they'd have lost at Lambeau Field, yeah, we'd be talking a little bit different. But hey, every year they have trouble in the division with one team. And again, they beat Chicago like they own them. And that's because something happened with Aaron Rodgers 5 or 6 years ago, whatever, at Soldier Field. And he has never forgiven the Chicago fans for that. And he just throws salt in the wound there. I want to see what happens after week 2 and 3, because, guys, it's bad football right now. It is really. Look at what happened with the Saints and Atlanta. Atlanta is blitzing Jameis Winston to death. They give up 2 touchdowns, and all of a sudden they stop. Well, guess what? Jameis carves you up like you're a Christmas turkey, and they win the game. And it's just crazy. You got to dance with what brung you. And what brung them was they were blitzing to death. Look at what the Bucs did. They didn't stop the blitz. They kept coming because they knew it was a problem, because the Cowboys were intent on playing Pollard, who is not a good pass blocker. That was one thing I did not understand. I'd have been feeding Zeke Elliott all night long, and when he wasn't getting the ball, he was pass blocking. That's what got them in the game last year here. They forgot about it.
Travis, your thoughts?
And that's what Jerry Jones said he wanted to do. He wanted to lead on Zeke.
Yeah. Obviously, it didn't get from the general manager down to the coach, right, guys?
Well, and I tell you right now, Zeke,
I think there's a lot missing with Mike McCarthy. I don't understand why they brought Mike McCarthy back unless they're just waiting on Sean Payton.
Well, it's the massages. That's what it is. Mike McCarthy's not getting his massages like Deshaun Watson. That's
oh boy.
I did, because that's the reason why he got fired in Green Bay in the first place. Maybe he's not getting enough wrong with Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, and of course, Mr. Leo Haggerty, the legend himself, former Coach Scout and now media member of Amped Up Sports and Night Sports Productions. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here on the Sports Web with our tribute to Sean, the Sports Don, and also talking.
Hey, Peter, how about this? Mm-hmm. Let's go to the AFC South. Guess who's leading the AFC South? The Houston Texans at 0-0-1.
What do you make of that? Because Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, he was all over this game yesterday. In fact, he said it was a trap, that Houston was going to play hard for Lovie Smith. Travis, you know about Lovie Smith. First, Leo, what do you make of this Houston team? Are they going to do anything? Davis Mills, a young quarterback. Damian Pierce out of Florida. They still have Cooks there. O.J. Howard, our old friend, had 2 touchdowns yesterday. What do you make of the Texans?
I'll tell you what, Peter, in that division, it may be crazy because of what's happening. Jacksonville's a little bit better, and you got Indianapolis, who's a little bit better. But Tennessee just pooped the bed yesterday and lost a home game. Again, Lovie Smith's getting hammered for playing for the tie at the end. 20 seconds left. Hey, guess what? A tie is like a win. Keep this in mind. If you get to the end of the season and you're at 9 wins and somebody else is at 9 wins and you got a tie, 9-6-1 is better than 9-8 is not as good as 9-7-1.
When we talk about the Texans and Lovie Smith and them playing hard, but is this a case, Travis, where we were saying Matt Ryan is going to solidify it? I get it's the first week, but that didn't necessarily come to fruition, if you will, with this offense yesterday with the Colts. So what do we make of this Colts team? And do we think the Texans can really compete in this division? You also talked about Jacksonville yesterday. You saw some improvement. What did you see out of them?
Oh, I watched a little of the Jacksonville game. I thought Trevor Lawrence was very sharp.
Okay.
Very sharp yesterday, and the sky is going to be the limit for that club. And it's going to really depend on how they draft over the next couple of years to see where Trevor Lawrence goes. But man, he looked good at times yesterday. And Leo, I was questioning Lovey's not going for it on fourth down and punting the ball away, but I thought about it just like you just brought it up, and it makes perfect sense. Why lose that game? Why give Indianapolis a short field if you don't get it on fourth down to possibly set up for a game-winning field goal? You'd be dejected if you took the L after playing so hard. And Davis Mills,
Hey guys,
he's a player.
You talk about a crazy game.
Draft with quarterbacks last year.
Yep. You talk about a crazy game. How about the Steelers and the Bengals? Does it get any crazier than that?
I mean, nobody could kick in that game. Nobody could kick in that game. And then on top of it, Harry the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire was saying 2 turnovers by Joe Burrow. He had it wrong. 4 turnovers by Joe Burrow. You have to think here. Yeah, 5. Okay, my bad.
4 interceptions and a fumble.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt horrible for our good buddy Mitch Wilcox from the USF Bulls. I've known Mitch since he was playing ball at Tarpon Springs. He's a great kid.
Right.
And he's got a great family. He gets put into a tough spot as a long snapper. He's never done it before. He gets 2 high snaps, which I don't know if they led exactly to the missed extra point and the missed field goal. But man, my heart goes out to that kid because all he ever does, he has heart, hustle, and muscle, and man, the kid just gives 100% effort.
Yeah,
so
and you know what, Travis?
It was tough.
You can't put it on him because the guy that blocked the extra point came in on the edge, and that can't happen. You got it. When you coach, you tell your kids you rock inside and then push outside. So if you're a dead end man, I know this is hard, but if the ball's this way, you rock in and then push out if somebody comes around the edge. You can't let him hit the gap. And what happened is that kid hit the gap, and you can get there. That's why it's important that you don't let someone in that gap. But Wilcox, he wasn't even the backup snapper. He was like, hey, can anybody do this? And again, guys, we talked about this ad nauseum. There's the Leo word today.
Yeah, Leo word. Good stuff.
You got to expand that roster from 53 players. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You need to get probably 60.
60.
Leo, once again, with what's going on in preseason and OTAs, and you got most of your team, most of the first teamers not even playing in the preseason. I mean, the amount of practice time, legitimate practice time that these teams and these players are getting now is minimal to the new CBA and to the new standards that the league is setting. Yes, did they want their best players?
Well,
going into the season? Yeah, but you saw it in the field yesterday.
Travis, you're exactly right. Again, tackling is a lost art because you can't practice it anymore, and it's just crazy. I asked Bill Belichick after a Bucs game. I think it was Peter 3 years ago when they played New England and Brady was the quarterback. I said, Coach, offensive line play has gone down. Is that because there are a limited amount of padded practices? He said, absolutely. We can't do the things we need to do with an offensive line to get them to where they are. If that guy next to me goes, you got an answer? I said, ask him a football question. He'll give you an answer. So
that's it. That's
it.
Exactly. I'm just.
What was more disappointing, Joe Burrow's performance or the offensive line? Because much was made, guys, in the offseason of how much money they spent on this line, and they didn't do a good job of protecting him. And I think that that plays a part in it, right? I mean, we've seen quarterbacks before when you get pressured, you force them into situations they don't want to be in. So I thought that was more disappointing than Joe Burrow. And then on top of it, it doesn't help that he didn't play in training camp. He didn't play any training camp, no preseason at all, because he had an appendectomy. I mean, that it didn't play well for him at all, and it was a bad situation. But the offensive line, in my opinion, Travis, made it worse.
Well, you're gonna see that for the first couple weeks until things really get solid, guys. And once again, and that's where Leo is right about expanding the rosters to 60 to get some backup, some more snaps. I mean, you're gonna see it in Chicago. yesterday, San Francisco in the first half had their way with that offensive line. It was the worst problem that the Bears had last year.
Sure.
So it's going to be a work in progress, and you're just hoping as a Bears fan that Fields, the course of this season, because they're going to have the most money to spend in free agency next year, like almost $120 million in cap space.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, the first series, Fields throws into triple coverage for an easy interception. I'm just sitting there going, is this the right guy to lead this franchise? Is he? And then obviously you had the blown coverage when Montgomery goes over the middle, two defenders go to him. He hits the wide open guy that touchdown that completely changes that game. So I know most of your listeners and fans out there don't really care about the Bears, but
hey, we care. We care about your favorite NFL team. We care about everybody's favorite NFL team. That's what the Sports Web, the evolution.
Go Bears.
That's right. Go Bears. Go Bears. Absolutely. And I think, just being a football fan, I like to see Chicago competitive again because you guys are long-suffering fans and you want to see a quarterback there, especially a Fields, with the investment you made there and with the investment next year with that cap opening up. You want to see him be a franchise quarterback. And I think he's got every opportunity to be a franchise quarterback. I just was very critical of this organization. I don't think they've done enough, but hey, look, I may be wrong. He may just have enough to squeak out some wins there. Leo, it kind of reminded me of Buckball yesterday with Tony Dungy at the controls. 2-3 yards in a cloud of dust. You get some big passing plays. Your defense, you depend on your defense, and you win ugly. A win's a win.
Oh, never discount a win in the National Football League. Period.
No,
never discount it.
I'll take it.
And again, guys, I want to throw this out. Mm-hmm. Why does everybody think Kyle Shanahan is the greatest thing since chopped liver as a coach? He's cost two franchises Super Bowls.
Well, chopped liver is not a good thing. I mean, I've never had chopped liver.
Chopped liver. And use filet mignon or something like that. Chopped liver.
Philip Mignon. Yeah. Mignon. Yeah. But here's what I don't understand. How can he not see that Jimmy Garoppolo is the better quarterback? What is he looking at? He's got a kid from North Dakota State that played one game his senior year. He played 3 or 4 games. I'll tell you, I don't know where they're going, but thank God the Bears played the 49ers because the 49ers are just god-awful. And here's the thing, guys. Don't worry about offensive lines right now because I guarantee you nobody ran any exotic blitzes in the preseason. So now they're going in and you got offensive linemen just going, oh, hell, where's this guy coming from? I mean, they were coming from all over yesterday. So look at the one Bucks blitz. They had 2 guys coming through A gap. They had a defensive back, and then he was followed by White. And the tackle couldn't get there because he got the first guy, and the second guy go, oh, okay. But watch what happens next week. Teams have film now. And believe me, the Bucks are going to blitz the you-know-what out of the Saints early to see if they came up with any way of handling. I thought Atlanta was back in the Grits Blitz days. I was looking for Steve Bartkowski at quarterback, but I'll tell you what. Oh, man.
Jerry Glanville days.
I wouldn't want to be in Atlanta today.
No, maybe that's a little bit before.
That may be the second worst loss since the Super Bowl. That one.
Yeah, well, I tell you right now, the Atlanta Falcons, once again, Travis, proved that they cannot hold a lead at all. They're going to blow a lead. Jameis Winston yesterday, give credit to where credit is due, 16 for 19, over 200 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So now the matchup this week is the Saints versus the Bucks. How do you see this matchup, Travis Bailey?
Oh, I love the matchup. It's going to be great. It's going to be much-watched TV next weekend. But Pete, let's flip back to that. You're talking about Atlanta, right? Now, obviously, Matt Ryan's with the Colts.
Sure.
When was the last time that Matt Ryan won a big game? Ever?
He hasn't. I mean, that's the thing. And
since the Super Bowl, that guy has had opportunity after opportunity to win games, and he's blown it every time.
And has not been helped out by Kyle Shanahan and trying to throw the ball instead of run the ball, instead of trying to take a sack. You're exactly right. And guys, Leo, how bad do the Colts look right now with Carson Wentz? I get it, it's Jacksonville, but Carson Wentz went off for 4 touchdowns yesterday, including a game-winning drive for the Washington team, because I'm not going to, I guess the Commanders.
Yeah, but he threw two awful picks before he let him back.
Yeah,
Jacksonville blew that game
Yeah,
yesterday. Jacksonville
that's true.
should have won that game.
That's a good point.
And I'm sure Jerry.
I tell you what.
So
I tell you what.
Jerry from Jacksonville.
When you look at what's going on in the NFL right now, other than Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes,
yes, Patrick Mahomes,
Justin Herbert, who had a good game at quarterback? Nobody.
Not Derek Carr.
Right? I mean, we may have been watching Thursday night the MVP of the league. I mean, he goes 26 of 31 and 2 interceptions that went off receivers' hands. So he throws 31 passes, 28 of them end up in. There's only 3 incompletions. You can't beat anybody that way. I mean, if a guy goes out and drops those kind of numbers on you, you're going to lose. And again, I go back to Leo's Axiom 101.
Mm-hmm.
If the quarterback can throw it when he wants to, where he wants to, and to whom he wants to, they're going to win the game. It's all going to start with pressure up front, and that's the key. Ron Jaworski taught me this early when I was going and said, color in the quarterback's face is the worst thing that can happen. And again, look at all the quarterbacks that were getting sacked. The pressure was coming up the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff there, Leo. Travis, final thoughts here, or you want to continue to talk about week 1 of the NFL? We could have talked about college football, guys, but and I told you, Leo, Scott Frost, ever since he's left UCF and went to Nebraska and thought that it was his dream job, you lose to Georgia Southern, guess what, buddy? Pink slip, you're done. Goodbye.
Yeah,
Travis.
Guess what it cost them to buy him out? $21 million.
Unbelievable. Just throwing money away.
They could hire me and fire me in a week for $21 million.
Yeah.
I'll take $2 million off that. Leo, too, I'm sure.
And Scott Frost is an offensive coach. The worst thing is the black shirts out in Nebraska gave up 648 yards to Georgia Southern. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
man,
Georgia Southern.
And you know what? They want to go back to the days of Tom Osborne and Bob Devaney, where it's 4 yards in a cloud of dust. Those days are over. You're not seeing those anymore. And guess how many athletes in Nebraska can play Division I football as a specialist, as a wide receiver? You can count them on one hand. They've got to go out and recruit nationally. And right now, Nebraska is not a name anybody wants to go to.
Yep. And I tell you right now, we will be covering the USF game versus Florida at the Swamp on Amped Up Sports. Yours truly, Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. And I believe this guy right here will be along for the ride. So it's going to be the 3 of us, just the 3 of us there, the 3 amigos. What do you think about
this? Travis is going to the game?
Travis is going to the game, I hear. So, Travis, what do you think about this match of USF versus, of course, Anthony Richardson, AR-15, and the Florida Gators?
Man, I would just like to see it be a relatively close game and have them, put out a good effort. But I'm going to leave you guys with these 2 thoughts, okay?
Mm-hmm.
One of them is, and I'm sure Harry brought this up, the Bears didn't beat themselves yesterday, which they've done all under the Matt Nagy regime with penalties and turnovers, and they did a great job yesterday. They won the turnover battle, and they completely destroyed the Niners in the penalty department. The Niners killed themselves all day long with personal fouls and bad penalties.
Yep.
But, Leo had said something earlier in the conversation. You have to dance with who brung you, right?
Mm.
Dance with who brung you.
I'm going to the game with you 2 clowns, and I ain't dancing with either one of you. So, boom.
More of me, less of you.
And you catch me at Travis Bailey at Rocket Sports and Entertainment. I actually covered the Aerosmith show at Fenway last week.
Nice.
I was at Rammstein at Gillette Stadium. You love this, Leo. Back-to-back days. I'm on the second base at Fenway, standing on the second base at Fenway, and then the next day I'm on the 50-yard line at Gillette Stadium. And with you two clowns, we'll be on the 50-yard line at the Swamp on Saturday. Looking forward to it, you guys.
Yeah, just take Travis, do me a favor. Ride in the back seat, because you never know what happens when Harry the Greek's behind you.
Shut up.
How about no?
You guys, just make sure you guys eat something stable, all right?
Well,
Have to be
listen,
wearing any kind of mask.
there's a story there too, isn't there? I mean, the last time we rode together was UCF. We went up for the UCF USF game. I got something from one of those, I guess it was Wawa, one of those little chickens, because I like to eat chicken all the time. Man, it did not agree with me. It did not agree with me.
Yeah, that's called go see a gastroenterologist or whatever you want to call it.
All right.
Or do we call that the Hershey squirts?
It's regressing by the second.
Oh,
guys,
God.
Thanks for giving me the platform, guys. Sean, we will miss you. You'll always be in our hearts. And Pete, I love you, man. And big hugs. And Leo, looking forward to seeing you and your 3-syllable words.
Love it. Good stuff there, Travis Bailey of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Got to give him the...
How about them Bucks, baby?
Absolutely great call, as always, my friend. All right? Take care.
Peter, let's call it a night, and I'll let you finish off with, some words about Sean. I mean, we'll miss him. He was definitely someone who knew the game. He was able not only to know the game, but to impart that knowledge on people that were listening in a way that didn't really, offend them, didn't really make them feel like they weren't as smart as he was. He made it feel like he was the guy sitting on the couch next to you was having that conversation, or the guy at the bar that was watching the game. And again, Peter, we'll miss him. With that, I'll leave you alone to close out the show. Peter, thanks for having me on tonight's tribute to Sean.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Leo Haggerty. That's why you're a legend here, not only in the sports business, but of course on the evolution of sports talk television. Thanks a lot.
Take care, brother.
Appreciate it. Good stuff there from Leo Haggerty. I don't know where you go from that. I mean, those were two of his good friends. And then we were the crew there. Leo Haggerty, Travis Bailey, Rick Brown, more buzz than the Charlotte Hornets. They have him on. I mean, and that was our guys. That was our crew back then. And you do this business, and there's a lot of struggles, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. And we're still struggling. We're still, trying to do our thing. We're still trying to have a voice. We're still trying to put out great sports content out there. And when you have friends in the business like that, that's a beautiful thing. It really is. Sean was great, man. I always remember every time he came on the show, I'm loving life, Spida. He loved life, man. And that's why we're celebrating him tonight on the evolution of sports talk television, the forefather of the sports web. So fresh and so clean. Wish I could hear his voice again. Let's go out to Sandra Nagel, of course, my mother. Knew him too, watching the best sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area, the Sports Web with I Love St. Pete, the Hub and Amped Up Sports. But I like to say this amazing man, Sean the Sports Don Jet, got to know him personally, came to the NFL draft. And that was another one. That was another story there, because Sean wasn't an NFL draft fan. He wasn't. In fact, a couple years later, before this man got drafted, that would be Jameis Winston, tried to do a draft show. Nah, Spider, I ain't about that. I just want to watch a draft. I'm not into that. Okay, that's cool. We'll do it. Of course, the guy calls in. Of course, he calls in. He had to call into the show as me and Travis were doing the show that night together, and just, being analysts and trying to break down every draft prospect and every draft situation. Sean calls in and goes, I'm a defensive guy. And he would say that about 2 or 3 times on phone calls, and you had to love it. He was a defensive guy. He would also say it was so Buccaneer when they would lose games, and lost a lot of games. But going back to that story, the NFL draft, we were pretty pumped up, because me and him had also something in common. We were Florida State fans, and we watched Jameis Winston win a national championship, and hope sprang eternal that Winston was going to go on the Bucs and he was going to lead them to the promised land one of these days. And we sat there in the draft, we were eating and, at my apartment, saying, could the Bucs draft somebody else? Are they going to do it? And just waiting into that moment. And then when that moment happened, the whole apartment just erupted. I'm surprised somebody didn't call the cops that night because we were so excited about the potential of Mr. Jameis Winston being the franchise quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that was one of the moments that we shared together. I'll never forget it. Never forget it at all. And draft is always my time. Always a lot of great memories. I always talk about how the NFL draft has impacted my life with my father and my friend now being gone, how we all watched it together. And when those people weren't there, my mother was the one that would sit in and listen to me talk ad nauseum about nobody she cared about, but she would care. So, and she was there for it. We were all excited that night, as that's a moment in time. Jay Quinn says, much love, Peter H. Blake. I appreciate you. Let me go ahead and give you the Ric Flair. Woo! All right, let's go out to Jeremiah. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you as always. Absolutely. I love this. Bless his heart. Tribute to Sean Jett. They were a great duo together and to help out each other. Had Peter, Dad, also Rich from Clearwater, call in, always calling him Con. So many great memories. I remember when Sean came over to the NFL draft, Peter, it's always Christmas Day for him. Absolutely. Good stuff. Rest in peace, Sean. God bless you and your family. So many pictures we have of him. We will miss you always. You were the man. He was absolutely the man. He never overcooked the grits, but he still can't sing. I love you, brother. I hope you're up there with my dad. Talking sports, and get ready for the evolution of sports talk television because our show is going to continue to go places. I'll read this last comment and then we'll get out to a video and we'll end it for the night. Good stuff, guys. So we talk about our exploits as being on the radio and finally getting that opportunity to be on the field. Of course, it was against the Saints in a Bucs win with Sean, the Sports Don. Enjoy this. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Web. I'm Peter Blake along with Sean, the Sports Don, live from Raymond James Stadium. Thank you very much for checking in. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers continue their winning ways over the New Orleans Saints 16-11. We'll give you 3 reasons why this happened on Sunday. My number 1 reason would be the defense. In fact, anytime you can hold the Saints to 11 points, Drew Brees didn't even have a touchdown in this game. You caused 3 turnovers, and for the second week in a row, Keith Tandy, the backup, has a game-ending interception. You're in good shape. What was yours?
Hey, I would say defense. I'm going to double down on that. I mean, for the last 5 weeks, this defense is playing at a level, making them number 1 in the league right now. So when you have a defense performing at this type of level, 3 weeks in a row, the defense is the one that ends the game. So when you see that continually happen, this is a trend. This team is for real on the defensive side of the ball. That's why we won this game. That's why you should be excited if you're a Buc fan.
And I think another reason why the Buccaneers won this game, it's the commitment to balance. Now, even though it was ugly, 23 carries for 66 yards for Doug Martin, an early touchdown, they stayed committed to that run. It makes them balanced. And then with that being said, your defense only holds the Saints to 46 yards of offense. You make that Saint offense one-dimensional. Once again, you have a chance to win.
Hey, I'm going to go ahead and look at Brian Anger. A lot of times people won't look at that and say that he's the key to the game. I know it's not fantasy points, but this young man, he did a great job today. In the fourth quarter, he had 2 big punts that he nailed on the 1-yard line, making it very difficult for Drew Brees and his team to move down the field, especially when you're going up against the way this defense is playing right now. Hats off to Brian Anger. Without him, you probably don't win this game.
Absolutely. Great point, and the punt coverage in itself was great. And my third point would be to piggyback off of you with special teams. How about Roberto Aguayo?
Mm-hmm.
It was a controversial pick to start the year, 2nd-round pick. He's missed some easy field goals, but tonight he was money. 3 for 3, no missed kicks, and those points were crucial in this ugly win versus the Saints.
And my last one would be mentally tough. I've talked about that earlier in the year. This Buc team, they stayed mentally tough. You had a grinded-out game. You like to see a Buc team win a game like this. It's familiar. It smells familiar like it used to be back in 2002 with the great Warren Sapp days. This team was able to do that. It's not going to always be pretty, but they showed that they can stay the course, and I know Dirk Cutter and the coaching staff got to be happy about that.
And I think Dirk Carter said it best. It's also about this defense is back. And it's like Jameis Winston said in the press conference, even though it's an ugly win, a win is a win. And that's why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stay atop the NFC South at 8-5 by beating the New Orleans Saints 16-11 to match their franchise streak of 5 in a row. You know the last time they did that, Sean?
I know you're going to say.
2002.
What happened then?
They won the Super Bowl.
Are you calling for a Super Bowl right now?
Hey, look, anything is possible. If this team can get in the playoffs, they got on a roll already. In the 3 phases of their game, offense, defense, and special teams, anything is possible. It's just like I said at the beginning of the year. I thought this team was a 10-win team and could make the playoffs. They're only 2 wins away.
I just say slow your roll. Let's get to 9-5 first. Then we'll start talking about 10-5.
That's what you say. For another edition of the Sports Web, I'm Peter Blake, along with
Sean, the Sports Dog.
And we are
giving you something
to think about.
See you on Saturday from 3 to 5.
That's right. The only FM sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area, the Sports Web, from 3 to 5. Bring your passion.
Bring your excitement.
Just don't bring any nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. And he came up with that. We came up with that model together. Came up with the show together. Dad had some ideas on the radio show on how to attract more callers, give them the opportunity to call in twice, give them walk-up music. He loved it. He loved that idea. And we would always end the show in a manner of Ice Cube's had a good day. And even though it's probably hard right now to realize, and I know his family's out there listening or watching this, we're having a good day because Sean is at peace. And Sean is in a better place. And we were blessed to know Sean, the sports don. So on that note, I'm just going to end it here. Thank you very much for your time, guys. And I love you.